Welcome back to Just You and Me. I am Donna.
And I am Adam. What is going on? How you doing,
Well,
Donna?
I'm getting watch duty. I'm getting watch duty notifications. And if you live in Los Angeles and you get fire notifications from the fire app, it's immediate PTSD.
I kept getting them this morning, and we were getting them throughout like part of the weekend, and it was the same shit. It scared the crap out of me.
Wait, you've gotten more this morning? This is the first one I've gotten today.
I
Why are
feel like I
they
got
why
one or
are they
two
popping back?
because we live in a land of dry ridiculousness with no water and people who like to start fires.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So, everyone that is new here or has just joined in or, welcome. By the way, we've
Hey,
had our last week's episode got so many new views. So, thank you so much, everyone that's new here. Um, I think people were interested in our take on like Eurovision and that story. But we live here in Los Angeles. Adam and I grew up here in Los Angeles. So fires have always been a thing. But of course, in 2025, the Los Angeles fires in January were insane. They
yeah,
were like apocalyptic. It was the
yeah.
craziest experience of our lives. But it became a thing. Like all of Los Angeles pretty much downloaded this app. It's called Watch Duty. It's a genius app. It's like Citizen, which is like that crime, which
Yeah,
I don't have anymore.
oh, well, I wouldn't either because it's either someone got stabbed or shot or there's fireworks, and I don't need to live in this post-apocalyptic life in Los
No,
Angeles.
it's not. That would be okay. It's man wielding axe at Ralph's is always what it is. And it's woman in underwear screaming profanities. Like it's the craziest stuff that they report
And me
on
finding
Citizen.
where that woman is, and never mind.
And
Um,
then Adam's like, send picture.
yes, yes, please do. But yes, we like this app, Watch Duty. Everybody downloaded it, and we all like during that first, what was it? Somewhere in January, we all got push notifications literally every 3 minutes. And because there were so many different fires, it was like, this happened here. This is a new fire. This is this percent contained. This happened here.
Two more fire trucks came. This one. I mean, updates like beyond.
Which is kind of what we needed, but obviously caused anxiety.
Mhm.
And then it is now it's getting closer to summer and it's becoming hot again. And because it's becoming hot again, we're starting to see probably some fires pop up here and there. And then all of a sudden now over the weekend, nothing crazy, but we started getting push notifications for random small fires popping up, and it's scaring the crap out of me.
But then what I was thinking to myself is these kinds of fires probably are always happening. We
Yeah.
just never knew about them because we didn't have this app. Because they're 2-acre fires or 1-acre fires that get put out within the hour, thank God. Because, if there are not multiple fires around the city, the fire departments can handle them. The
Yes.
problem was the winds in Los Angeles that week. And then there were so many fires. It was just like, it was too much all at once. Everything everywhere all at once. That's
Yes.
what it was. But these fires are a part of life here in Los Angeles. And now I'm like, should I not have this app? It's like sometimes too much knowledge is not so good.
I don't know. Maybe we turn off notifications until like it gets, because at some point we're going to realize just looking at social media that there's a giant fire or there's two giant fires. Then I can turn it back on, but I don't need these little ones popping up and all of a sudden I get a jolt to my system. I'm like, shit, I need to leave the city.
Exactly. Maybe you can like change the filter where it only notifies you if it's within 2 miles.
Uh, I wonder if you can. I don't
The
know.
one that I just got is in Canyon Country, which is so far.
We have a canyon country.
Isn't Canyon Country where Splash Mountain is in Disneyland? Isn't
That
that
is, well,
where the game that ride takes place? Is in Canyon? Or that's Critter Country.
Critter Country, and you know that ride no longer exists.
I am
So,
so devastated. I'm going to Disneyland on Monday, by the way. Oh, by the way, I'm going to Disneyland on Monday. I have
so
to
we
tell
have to
you.
do. Oh, good to know.
That's a
Um,
recording update.
we record on Monday, and now we can't record next Monday. Thank you.
Unless you want to do it live from Disney.
Twist my fucking arm.
I know.
I I do go to Disney quite often, and I go without my children, which is even weirder.
Oh no,
Yes.
you're a Disney adult.
Well, no, not that
No,
Disney adult, but I actually not okay. I don't live amongst fucking characters all over
why are
the
you
place.
cursing so much in two times while we're talking about Disney? Is it to overcompensate for the fact that
Yeah,
you love Disney and you're an
um,
adult?
yeah, because I'm a normal male bro, and I'm fucking don't care about shit.
Stop.
Oh, I'll stop with the F word. No, I actually go, and I went with one of your friends, Josh Smith. I go with him and a couple other friends, and
Nerd alerts.
yeah, oh, very much so. And we went on whatever it's called, Tiana's Bayou horror show or whatever it is, and the movie's great, but no one needs a Tiana Splash Mountain ride when Splash Mountain was good enough for me, and I enjoyed that ride thoroughly.
Why did they do that?
I think because the original movie that ride was based upon was called Song of the South, and it was a very racist movie. The movie has no place within, like, Disney has erased it from the world, the
Oh, it's
internet.
like a DEI situation.
Well, it goes far beyond that, because in reality, like, this is genuinely, I'm not going to use the F word, friggin' racist. Like, it is real bad.
Splash Mountain was based on a very racist movie.
Yeah, like, zippity doo dah, zippity a, great
Oh,
song.
yeah. Okay, I can pick up what you're putting down.
But that song was in this movie, and the movie was horrifying. So Disney, but they kept they kept the ride there for so long, and then they decided to change it to Tiana. But I think no one associates the ride with that actual movie until I just told you. So I don't understand why they changed it, because it really didn't have any connections with it in the minds of everybody else. Because you didn't even know it was connected to that until I just told you, right?
No.
Right.
What did Disney, when did Splash Mountain like start? I feel like that was in my lifetime.
In the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, so why did
Or
they
maybe
start
later.
it with a movie that was so old?
Who knows? I don't know. I don't know why they did it, because even when they put it in the park, back then, and I was, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 years old, I didn't have any idea what those characters were, what movie it was associated with. It just seemed like, oh, Disney just made up something for this ride, and it's cool and it's fun. But apparently it is based on this other very troublesome movie.
Interesting. I was just watching a documentary. This is totally off topic, but it's very interesting because I was just watching this Pee Wee Herman documentary. Have you heard of it?
Well, from Disney to Pee Wee Herman. No,
It's because of the racist
okay.
conversation. So Pee Wee Herman, it's actually a really phenomenal documentary. So far, I'm like pretty much halfway through the first part, but it's an hour and a half first part. Paul Rubens is such a incredibly interesting character. I didn't know half of his story. I just know him as Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, and then my immediate brain goes to his cancellation, essentially, of what he did wrong in the was it the 90s?
I don't remember when
or
it
the
was.
2000s.
No, I think it was more 90s than anything else.
And in my mind, he got caught masturbating in a theater in West Hollywood. That was like what I had thought. But actually, it didn't happen like that. It was in Florida or New York or something. Anyway, the point is, way before
still masturbation in theater, but it just happened in a different location.
Sure, but the point is, like, he had such an incredible career and such an insanely interesting life. He was like a founding guy at Groundlings and one of the first. I mean, he went to whatever. The point is, he created this character of Pee Wee Herman. But before he did that, he tried out all these different characters. And one of his main characters was so racist, like so racist. It was like a full Indian character, not Indian like Pakistani Indian, like feathers, Indian, like Native American.
Native American, yeah.
It is what, but I say Indian because it's like straight out of a Disney movie. Like I am playing the Indian, Indian chief. I mean, it is crazy. He's like, it's not even like I was maybe a little racist. He's like, I was a racist. Like, it was so wild how different things were, even just in the 80s and 90s. So I feel bad for Splash Mountain.
Like even like bringing up
R.I.P.
the Indian thing, like even Tom Sawyer's Island in at Disneyland, they had derogatory terms, like straight up racist terms, like as part of Tom Sawyer's Island towards Native Americans. So
Wow.
it is Disney has a very weird kind of like we don't care about some races and we'll just put some shit in, and then finally they realize,
Well,
okay,
I mean,
let's tone it down.
Disney is known for putting all these mixed messages in their cartoons
Yes.
that are, for the adults, but the
Oh yeah.
kids, it goes over the kids' heads.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of sickos.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Speaking of Ryan Reynolds, just kidding. Every week. Every week.
Breathe. Breathe. Okay.
So okay, speaking of the week,
Yes.
every week, and this is the craziest thing doing this podcast. Now, you mentioned my friend Josh, but he's really your friend, but
Yes.
we all happen to both know him. He listens to our show. This is Memorial Day weekend. We're recording on Memorial Day, by the way. Happy Memorial Day, and like honoring all, anyone that has served. I love Memorial Day. I am a big I always have so much respect for anyone that has served our country. And, I'm a big fan of the military and the Army and the Marines. And just like, it's such an honorable position.
Especially the ones that have fallen for our country and have been the ones that have dedicated their lives to fighting and did the ultimate sacrifice and ended up losing their lives for it. Because obviously, being a Jew and seeing how the U.S. saved the asses of so many Jews when they entered the war in World War II, it's definitely something that is near and dear to our hearts.
100%. 100%. Like I look up to the Army. I just think they're so, to go into that as your life is such a selfless world. And way scary for me. Like, I just don't understand.
We would never. I don't think they would let us in. They wouldn't let me into the Army. That's for
Not
sure.
you.
The amount of complaining I would do, they would just.
Oh my God, you would just be like you would be an entertainer.
Yeah,
at the
I
Army.
would have to be. But like, who wants a 5'5" non-athletic person with ulcerative colitis and whatever other disease I have?
Always sick.
Yeah, always sick. How am I going to help fight for this country?
No, you would literally hold the world back.
Yes, so
you would literally create more problems for the world and not help.
That there are other people to do it for me.
They would be like, "Oh my God, we'd rather one less soldier on our battalion than Adam Neuman." Is it called a battalion? I just like made that up. But speaking of Memorial Day, so this weekend's Memorial Day. We were at a Memorial Day barbecue on Saturday. I run into this guy, Josh Smith, who listens to our podcast. He and you have been friends forever.
Since college.
He's like, I love your show. And the reason why I bring that up is because we've been running into so many people that have been listening to our show and really like it. And they're Jews and non-Jews. And why so many people like the show is because we do it on a weekly basis and we're covering things that are happening in real time. And sadly, so much is happening in real time. I say sadly because never before has so much Jewish news happen in real time. When we recorded last Monday, we were just talking about Eurovision, and we were in like if that was the worst thing that happened was that Yuval was getting negative comments, it would have been a great day. Of course, since then, one of the worst things that went down, actually, we talk about the 14,000 babies?
No, I don't think we talked about that. I don't think we talked about it last week.
I don't know if we actually went through the 14,000 baby like lie.
Yeah.
But I remember, getting so angry about that because what happened last week was like a domino effect. And it was very clear that this could have happened, but it happened so fast. So a spokesman at the UN, and I can't remember exactly what his name is, and who gives a shit, because he created such hell for Israel and Jews.
We love the UN. Love the UN.
Hate them.
Right.
Hate the
I mean, I hate.
UN, and they hate us.
Yes. Yes.
And it's interesting because in your mind, you're raised to believe that the UN, United Nations, equals good. Like that's how
Yeah.
I was raised.
And agreed. And but I remember I have a distinct memory of when I may have been like 12 or 13, and I took a trip to DC with my parents and my family. And we went to, or not, sorry, not DC. We went to New York and we toured the UN, and they had like
What
this
is it, a
entire,
building?
yeah, they have the UN is based in New York. Like they have everything there. And I remember walking in and they had this whole, like, they were praising Yasser Arafat, and they had this whole entire
Mm.
thing that was like what an amazing person he is, and it was a whole exhibit about him. And I'm like, this seems to be a little off,
For America.
right? And talking about Yasser Arafat as like this greatest person, but anyway, it was always
Was it
it was
next to
always a little
Saddam
bit.
Hussein?
Yeah, I know it might as well have been just them holding hands.
Yeah, literally. Bin Laden, Saddam, and Yasser, the three amigos.
Three amigos.
It's interesting. Yeah, United Nations. It has a sound of peace. It has a sound of like that's the cool crew. Like that's the
Right.
strong America. It sounds like United States of America. Like it just sounds like, so in your mind you it would be like United Nations. That sounds good. Just like the words free Palestine sounds good. And so this man speaks at the United Nations, and he says, he just throws it out there in an interview that within the next 48 hours, if no aid gets into Gaza, 14,000 babies will starve. That's it. He just throws it out there like no problem. He says it as clear as day, like it will be sunny today in Los Angeles.
Right.
And within hours, it becomes fact, and it becomes it's on flyers, it's on, posters, it's everywhere, it's on TikToks, it's on YouTube's, and people are putting it on the front page of their newspapers, and Katie Couric is talking about it, and Glennon Doyle is talking about it. The reason I'm saying those two is because they have millions and millions of followers. So it's not even just like random little like fringe groups that are saying it. Now we have the big guns saying it.
Mm-hmm.
CNN is saying it. BBC is saying it. Reuters is saying it. Washington Post is saying it. No one is questioning the fact that what do you mean 48 hours, 14,000 babies will die? And it's not even starve. It's die now all of a sudden. They're dead. 14. And also, wait, I thought we're in the middle of a genocide. Why are there 14,000 babies being born in a genocide? No one's thinking about that. That's weird. Like there's no logic in this quote, but it's just now it's fact and it's happening. And
Yep.
guys, Israel is killing 14,000 babies in 40. It's not even anything else. Israel's doing it. Israel is killing 14,000 babies in 48 hours now.
Yep. It is very bizarre that something like that goes so unchecked. The fact that, when you see the words 14,000 babies are going to starve, you obviously will have a visceral, like this reaction of, oh my God, no one wants 14,000 babies to starve. Like that's horrifying. But there's they go from that emotion directly to, okay, let's print, let's go, let's not investigate, let's do it. And nothing was said or done. It was just went out, like you said, until they realized that was completely bullshit and it had to be retracted. But the problem was that the damage was already done. Like you can retract and retract and retract. But when you look at, again, TikTok, and you look at social media, and you look especially in very, very anti-Israel circles, this just adds more fuel to that fire. And it's more of like, okay, Israel is going to do this. They're starving these babies. And you can retract. They're still going to run with it. And it continues to help their narrative to basically say that Israel is the evil country in this scenario.
Exactly. And what's crazy about it is I could see immediately through it, because if you have any sort of ability to question the media, which I really do question everything I hear now,
Right.
everything I hear, then you're going to question it. But if you already have a bias that you think Israel is the devil or evil, of course you're going to believe it. It's just like if someone told me, something, if someone told me that Dave Matthews said it, I would believe it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't have to question it, right? Like I'd be like, of course he said it. Of course he parroted it. If you believe it already, you're going to believe it. You're going to repeat it. So no one did the questioning. Now the UN also did not scream it loudly that it was a mistake. They didn't want to. It's like no one really cared enough to be like, whoa, 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 guys. Guys, everyone calm down. And the truth is, yes, if no aid gets to babies after a certain amount of time, everyone will die. But aid was coming in. And that's the truth. Aid does come in. And the truth, and that also another big lie is like, why is all the aid not getting in? And it's not all Israel.
Of course it's not.
Obviously, there's a bigger reason.
Hamas is preventing a lot of this from happening. They will siphon off everything that comes through there for their very own. They would rather feed the people who are fighting with Hamas and the soldiers that are with them and the terrorists than feed the people who are actually starving and sick. And this goes for not even life during wartime. This goes for when it's completely just Hamas running this government. There's still people are being starved all the time. It's as long as the people who are fighting for and with Hamas gets fed and gets treated, everybody else, I'm sorry, I'm going to use the F word, can go fuck themselves because they don't care. They only care about their position against Israel and against the entire West.
Exactly. So, of course, not just like I expected or you expected or anyone expected, of course, when this happens, I'm immediately trying I was trying to play the high road. I was like, I'm not going to fight back against these people. But something about this one made me want to fight back.
Which I get.
Because now I had proof.
Yes.
I had proof to be like, there's lies. These are lies. These are lies. Look at the proof. Look at the proof. And so I started trying to fight back. Well, it didn't work. I mean, obviously my little platform doesn't work, but I did my hardest. That night, worst case scenario is we all kind of see this news about this shooting. So on Wednesday night in DC, outside of a Jewish museum in the capital of, Washington, DC, of course, outside of the Jewish museum, there was a Jewish event. We eventually find out that it happens to be that the two people that were killed, not just shot at, but killed, were members or employees of the Israeli embassy. Of course, right? Of course. And they were a couple, and they were shot outside of the Jewish museum. And the story is so sad. It's so horrible. Mm-hmm. His name was Yaron. Her name was Sarah. They were set to be engaged, I guess. He was supposed to propose to her the following week. They were going to Jerusalem. But the point of it was that they were actually at this event, which was to promote peace. They were not, intensely like out there as war, like fighting for war, or intensely like anti-Gaza or anything like that. They seem to be incredibly peace-promoting people, but obviously pro-Israel, obviously very strong, Zionists, but clearly, cared for the Palestinian residents or the people that lived in Gaza, and they cared for them and they wanted to promote peace in some capacity. I believe that that's what the meeting was. It was something about building a bridge, essentially, right?
Yep.
And the man that was arrested, there's a video of him shouting all the things, free Palestine, all the bullshit. Mm-hmm. So it's totally a triggering situation for everyone like us that feels like we've been yelling into the void, saying like that does not feel like a peaceful call for. It's everything we talked about with Daniel Ryan Spalding, right?
Right.
Free Palestine is not like, Woodstock, peace and love. And it does feel like when you say free Palestine, it is a death call for Jews. That's exactly what it is. And it's exactly what it's like coming true.
Well, and not only is it coming true, I don't think this is the end of it. I honestly don't, because the more you hear, let's say this goes back to the 14,000 babies, right? The more you feed into that narrative, and people that have been duped by this movement, this Hamas led movement, um, they're getting more and more brainwashed, and they're thinking so much more about this. So when you see um, something tragic like this happen, usually you would expect a group that is protesting to basically say, hey, this is not the way we do things, and try to back away from it. Try to say, hey, this is not what we want. We don't want violence. We want peace through protest and negotiations, all that. Well, of course, you look online, which we shouldn't, but we do anyway, when you look on social media and all these things. And whether they're bots or not, it still scares the shit out of me. But it's basically like, oh, we only, like, there were people that are on saying, oh, we only killed 2 of them. Or it's like, I wish we got more. It's like trying to incite more violence, basically saying, we only got 2 of them. There needs to be more. Let's kill every Jew until it's not a problem anymore. And this is where I get scared, because I don't think something like this is a one-time instance. I'm not saying that what he did was planned by a group of people. He could have been by himself, reading into all of these things that he saw online, and that he was going to meetings for all this Hamas propaganda and decided to do it by himself. I don't know. What I do get scared of is what's going to happen next, and where these certain things can take place. And I do get a little nervous about, gatherings of Jews, anything like that. What can we expect to see in the future? That's what I get a little anxious about, because it is frightening to say, okay, now this just happened. Jews are now being hunted, and I don't want this to keep going. So when we talk about these phrases like free Palestine, from the river to the sea, and all these things you've been hearing from Columbia, Harvard, all of these campuses, this is what it leads to. This is how they are freeing Palestine, is to eradicate us one by one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's it's very overwhelming to think about when you sit and hear it like that, because you feel so helpless. And I get a lot of DMs from my listeners that that kind of like, because I talk about it, here and there in my stories on my other page. I don't like to overwhelm my like pop culture people with it, but I have to mention it here and there. And they come to me and they're like, oh my God, Donna, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. Like, and I feel scared for them too. But at the same time, like, well, we don't really have an option to be scared.
Yeah.
Like, the scared feeling, of course, can be there, but that's not an option, because I'm not living my life scared. We can't be scared. What are we going to, I'm still a proud Jew. We're still hosting our podcast called Just Jew and Me. We're not hiding our Jewishness.
Absolutely
we're not
not.
living in fear. We're not changing our last names. We're not, all of a sudden, wearing a keffiyeh to like blend in with the other side. Like, that's not happening. In fact, I am a believer that there are more people that actually stand with Israel than are to be known if you're just in the online circles. It's weird. Sometimes you forget that the world exists outside of this like crazy loud community.
Yeah.
This world is so much bigger than these loud, angry people. And these people that are yelling and screaming and like chanting and burning flags and like defacing property and spray painting and now getting violent and trying to like really uprise and calling for death to America and all of these horrible things. I mean, they're burning American flags. It's not just Israeli flags, right? Like they're burning American property.
Yep.
They are loud and they are intense, but so that we feel like it's everywhere. And maybe they are like little cockroaches everywhere, but they're not everyone. So we do have to remember that the majority of us are not that.
Yeah, and
That's my hope.
I agree. I don't think the majority is them. They're the minority that is very, very, very loud. But even with that, and I agree with what you're saying. No matter what, I think just we're always in survival mode anyway. There's always part of us that are, and I think this just happens to be our history and everything that our ancestors have lived through. There's always something that's like, yeah, but they are very loud and they can start rumbling and making certain things. So again, when I see something like this happen at the embassy or outside the embassy, it's not the voice of a majority, but it still scares me that all of this can possibly happen. And even if it's not just violence, it could be alienation, and it's a lot of the stuff that we've seen in the last year and a half anyway that has nothing to do with violence. I'm sure we all have stories, anti-Semitic stories. I mean, even hearing stories of people at Trader Joe's and hearing, like, I've heard stories about people being anti-Semitic towards other people, other customers when it's too busy, like all of that. And it just seems like it's a little bit more allowed now than it was before. So even if it doesn't ultimately end in violence, there are still major issues about anti-Semitism and not just the stuff online, but really the stuff you see in everyday life when you're out.
Yeah, it's the normalism is just it's so crazy. I don't like to. I really don't even like to give her air. But there was some weird intersection. Yeah. There's some weird intersection this last year with Candace Owens in my life because of what we do cover. Because all of a sudden, Candace Owens, one of the biggest, in my opinion, anti-Semites, I didn't realize that she was, because she used to work with freaking Dennis Prager and Ben Shapiro.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden she woke up one day and decided she hates Israel and hates Jews. I mean, she would say, I don't, but I don't understand how you can say you don't hate Jews. She says, I don't because I defend Harvey Weinstein. That's how she
that's
says
great.
that no, seriously, that's how can I hate Jews? I defend Harvey Weinstein.
And it's like the same thing. I love Jews because I have a Jewish friend. Like,
I know one.
No, it's bullshit. But
yeah,
out of all your friends, you want Harvey Weinstein to be your fucking friend?
She defends Harvey Weinstein because she hates the Me Too movement. So that's why she's defending Harvey Weinstein. But she was on, and I sent you the video. She was on Theo Von's podcast, right? These are the two people that are like, they've made it their mission. It's like the two of them, not so much Joe Rogan, but he's entertained a lot of people who have really gone hard on Israel. So it's like a bunch of these people. This Dave Smith guy who I've never known about. He's a comedian. Yeah. We've talked about him before. He's the one that went up against Douglas Murray. Ian Carroll, this guy that looks like a hobo. I have no idea, but all of a sudden now he's like this big. He hates Israel so much, and so he's a huge viral guy. All these people, Tim Dillon, it's like all these huge podcasters are like, hey, I need some clicks. I guess I'll hate Israel.
I mean, it's a good way for them to get clicks.
Theo Von has a mullet and has like what now he's like talking about Israel. I'm like, why is Theo Von talking about Israel? He was on Real World.
No, I think was it Road Roll? I think it was Road Rolls.
He was on Road World. And again, like, it's so funny that I say that because like the director of transportation was on Road Rolls, Real World too.
Yes,
so,
I know.
But who are we to talk about like former reality stars? But at the same time, it's crazy to hear these two people just like railroading Israel on their podcast. She says that Israel's the reason JFK died.
I know. There's a whole thing about JFK. They talk about that Israel holds a bunch of pedophiles and they're like secretly holding them, just,
that the
protecting them.
Holocaust didn't happen, that there was all these experiments on like babies and like weird shit. Like Israel became all of a sudden like the next, it's like the next, I don't know, it's the next thing that everyone goes to for conspiracy theories now. Everything is all about Israel. I
Right.
wish Israel had so much control because then we wouldn't be in this hell.
The thing is that the conspiracy theories have always been part of Jews and Israel's existence. The issue is because Jews have persevered as much as we've gone through so much shit in our history. We continue to survive. We continue to not only survive, but fucking
Thrive.
flourish. We
Thrive.
thrive. We are at the head of so many different industries. And it's not because it's a conspiracy. It is simply because we are hardworking people who like to or need to be successful and provide for our families and do all of these things. And they take it as the only reason that happens to us for Jews is that there must be something nefarious happening in the
We're
background.
paying our way through.
Correct.
We're buying our way out of it.
Yeah, it's always something. It's like, you know, everything that has gone well for us is because we did something nefarious. We did something terrible. And it's just not true. Yes, there are bad Jews. We just talked about
Of
Harvey
course, there's
Weinstein.
always bad people.
Harvey
There's
fucking
always
Weinstein.
bad people. Yeah, and there's a lot of bad Jews, by the way.
Of
He's
course.
not the only one.
No, there are a lot. We can have an entire episode on the bad Jews.
Let's not.
That's right. Yeah, you don't want to feed
There's
into
enough
that.
people
Actually,
out there that can do that.
bad idea. Take it back. I retract it is what I'm going to do. But we're survivors. We get through this shit. We get through all of the stuff that they throw at us. We have our down moments, but we make it out alive and we continue. And even though we are a small percentage of this country, small percentage of the world, we still seem to do a lot of good in this world. Yet there are so many people in this world that think that we are the worst group of people and we do terrible things, and every conspiracy is because Jews or Israel did it or funded it or had some kind of hand in it.
Huh. It's such an interesting concept. Do you know something else I learned recently? Speaking of Memorial Day, B. Arthur.
Oh boy.
B. Arthur. Do you know who
that
is?
Golden Girls.
Dorothy
Yes.
from Golden Girls. She was a Marine, a Jewish Marine. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Just wanted to throw that out there. That was just like a pop quiz, trivia.
Did you just learn this?
Last summer when I was in Israel.
Oh, interesting.
So they built a beautiful museum that we went to in the middle of Israel, but I mean, sadly, October 7th happened right before it opened, so I don't think anyone's really gone to. But it was, talking about the Yom Kippur War and the 7-Day War, all of the things, and they had like a whole thing for B. Arthur. So I just wanted to throw that out there about like all these incredible Jewish success stories, people that like actually succeeded, but like worked hard. Right.
Yeah.
Like there's so many of them. And that's the thing. Like I'm just so, I would like to do one day an episode on success stories of Jews who like started from nothing and built amazing stories for themselves, because I think that we do get a little bit, or the media gets lost in the sauce with like the big names and the stories of the people that are kind of, I don't know, the Bibi Netanyahus of the world or whatever.
Right.
But there's so many wonderful, smart, contributing members of the Jewish community that really work to better the world.
Yeah, no, I agree. Was B. Arthur the only Jewish Golden Girl?
There's no
any
way.
of them?
Well, Rue McClanahan was definitely not.
No, and Betty White and Estelle Getty. They can't be. They're not Jewish, are they?
Estelle Getty could have been.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google this. I feel like.
That's a grok question.
Well, why don't you grok it and I'll chat GPT it and we can compare notes.
We could grok it. You grok it.
I feel like
Do you grok? Do you grok or chat GPT?
Well, I chat GPT. Let's see.
You do? I grok.
I know. It sounds weird when you say that.
Is this something that you would do on a first date? If you were on a first date, would you be like,
no,
do you grok
only
or
on a
chat
second
GPT?
date? No, third date or after.
But what I really liked is speaking of the Candace Owens and Theo Von, there's this YouTuber who I just found today, and he's not Jewish. He's Iranian. He's an American Iranian filmmaker. And he does films he has a film for Netflix about like conspiracy theories and like breaking through conspiracy theories. And he did a video today where he just released where he basically breaks through, and I sent it to you, debunking that Candace Owens Theo Von interview. And literally so much of what they say in this interview are just flat out lies. But they have such huge audiences and they say it with such conviction, especially Candace. She speaks so confidently as if she's saying the truth. And by the way, she does that when she talks about pop culture too. Like she gets so much wrong. And people believe it. Like they just hear it and they believe it, like the 14,000 babies lie, right? So you hear it, you're like, oh, Israel killed JFK. It's a done deal. And then they just go on with their day thinking Israel killed JFK. And then they tell their friends. And then that's how it works. So in your mind, you're like, oh my God, Israel has always been this horrible thing. And you go on through the day and then you hear, oh my God, and they're also killing 14,000 babies. And then I go to work the next day and someone says, Donna, why is your name spelled D-A-N-A? I say, oh, well, my family's Israeli.
Oh, God.
And I used to be able to say that, no problem. And now when I say that, I swear I get stink eye. Just saying that my family is Israeli. Like, it has changed so fast, so quickly. Just even mentioning that my family is from Israel, I can't even say that easily anymore. The whole world looks at Israel. And for that reason, I'm like, selfishly, can this war end? Please? Please? Now, today, Monday, did you see the news about a potential? Okay, back to grok.
Estelle Getty was Jewish.
Of course she was.
Yes.
You know she was. If you watch one episode of Golden Girls.
No, I know that, but she could have just been a very good actress. Okay, good.
They have great Jewish episodes in that show.
Yes.
They have a great episode where one of them is seen by a doctor, and the doctor comes out and he's like, I am Dr. Weinstein or whatever. He's like, how can I help you? And Rue McClanahan, Blanche, goes to Dorothy and she goes, Dorothy, he's going to be fine. Her doctor's Jewish.
Yep.
It's the best.
Always loving that.
So as of Monday today, just like an update on the war, because now I'm a war updater.
You're a war correspondent.
Well, I'm better than CNN.
Oh,
I actually report the news. Well, they don't do it. They just report, Al Jazeera news. According to the news, Hamas today tries to pull a bait and switch on our latest ceasefire proposal. There was a ceasefire proposal today by Steve Witkoff.
Okay.
That they had proposed a 70-day ceasefire and the release of 5 live hostages on the first and final days of the truce. And Hamas did a bait and switch and said no. So literally, we're trying to get a ceasefire and Hamas is saying no currently. So
that's what continues to happen.
I know, but like, are people not seeing this?
No, they don't care.
But it's just Israel's fault.
It doesn't matter. You can do this all the time. It's too late. The people who have their views about Israel, the negative views.
I wanted to change.
I know. And I watch so many of these clips on Instagram or on TikTok of these Jewish and Israeli supporters going out to doing like man on the streets interviews and trying to convince people and telling them facts about Israel. And one by one, if you have a conversation with them, you can hopefully get through to them
Okay.
and have that. But you can't you can't do that to every single person who thinks Israel is the oppressor. You can't. It just doesn't happen. And you can show them news articles like this, and because it doesn't fit their narrative, they're not going to care. But you show them news articles like the 14,000, and they're going to run with it because it feeds into that loop. It's that echo chamber that it
Confirmation
feeds into what they're
bias.
like. Right, exactly. And that's all they care about.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, and it's going to continue happening until the war is over. But even when the war ends, there's still going to be shit going on. I don't think the war is going to end and everything's going to go back to completely normal or back to when it was before October 7th. So I'm very interested to see how
No, but it
everything
has to
continues.
start, but we do have to start somewhere.
Of course, I'd rather there be no war. I mean, when I'm talking about everything that's going on, I'd rather people stop dying. I don't want anyone to die. I'm sick of it, except people in Hamas. I don't want anyone else to die. Okay. The issue is that I don't know if the end of this war is going to stop the negative Israeli and negative Jewish commentary and rhetoric that continues to plague everything. And simply for a couple of reasons. One, because everybody needs a scapegoat. And two, as you said, is that if people want clicks, they shit on Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So Candace Owen, Road Rules Theo Von, and whomever else, they're going to continue saying this stuff because they know that it will get them views and clicks and give them money. So why not continue with that kind of information?
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really sad. It will be interesting to see where things go with it. Like, let's see, in 6 months, I just pray to God it doesn't get tragically worse
Yeah.
than this. But the media plays a massive part. And one thing that the media needs to be held responsible at some point. I am so anti-legacy media. What do you watch for the news? Do you watch the news?
No, I think a lot of it depends. I'm kind of all over the place. I follow, if I'm looking at uh, X, formerly known as Twitter, I
Oh,
will follow. I'm just making sure everybody knows this, just in
how
case.
many years do you have to say that?
I don't know. I really don't like the name X. I think it's
And no one
pretty
does.
stupid. I'm like, come on, Elon. You're a smart person. You could come up with something better than fucking X. Anyway,
Horrible.
um, I subscribe to everything. I'm looking at all different media sources. So I'm looking right and left because I don't want one world view. I don't want one specific side. So I will. Sorry, Donna. I will follow CNN for some things, and I will follow Fox News, and I will follow Washington Post, and I'll follow all different things, so I can get information from everything. Because honestly, I feel like it's the only real way of understanding what's happening is to see all the different things and understand what is, and basically take away from that what's truth and what you believe in. I can't just look at one. I don't want to be in this echo chamber anymore. I've been in that echo chamber on the
Horrible.
left for a long time. And although I still consider myself more left leaning than anything, I can't listen to just left leaning news. I have to listen to everything to get everything, the truth that everything. So I follow everything on X, on Instagram, all of it. So
You absolutely need to. And I am with you. I don't like following anything specific. I follow, you know what I like? I like Bill Maher because I feel like he covers a little bit of both. So I like definitely watching his show once a week. I follow I'm with you on X. I definitely see a little bit of everything. Every day I go to CNN.com because I like to see what they show. I don't go to FoxNews.com. I really don't, but I follow certain people on both sides on X or on,
Right.
Instagram or whatever. Oh, on Instagram I find I follow the Free Press. I like the Free Press's coverage.
Free press is good.
Barry Weiss. I like Moshe. I don't know if you know Moshe on Instagram. He's a reporter. He
Mm-mm.
used to work for like CBS or NBC, but he's an independent reporter. He's more left leaning, I believe, but he's Jewish. So I find that he like is a very fair cover for my side, for like my personal preference. Like I just don't find him to be incredibly like, triggering for me, like in terms of what I see. But he covers things pretty fairly, I think. And yeah, I find like I just get my news a lot from Instagram. It's weird. It's like I don't watch the news anymore because I feel
Yeah, I
like
was
they
about
all
to say
lie.
the only time I like I turn on the TV to watch news is if there's fires or if I want to see like
You have to see something
really big
live.
coverage. Right.
Yeah.
That's the only time I watch it. Everything else is strictly just looking at stuff online and looking at feeds and whatnot. I like I mean, I can't say legacy news and these networks that are on TV are dead because I'm sure people still watch them. And I'm sure, I mean, my dad just sits there and, watches
It's a
news
certain age
all
range.
day. Exactly. And that's when I say my dad is because he's a certain age range. He's not going to sit there on X, formerly known as Twitter, and he's not going, I'm going to keep saying it. And he's not going to sit on Instagram and read different things the way we do. And I'm
Yeah.
sure, what we do and how we consume our news. Is it going to be different when our kids are older and start doing that? Who knows? But I can't do it the same way my dad does, where it's just have news on all day and live in it.
No, I think, but it is an ever changing situation. Now, speaking of, just before we do wrap, because our timing we're getting long here, but I do like this conversation just about the news and propaganda and all of that. I think we should wrap, and especially being Memorial Day, on this really cool story that I sent you over the weekend that Dana Bash at CNN
Oh
covered.
yes,
I
yes.
love this feel good story. So there's something called Operation Benjamin, which I had never heard about. And basically, CNN, Dana Bash at CNN, she's awesome. She's also Jewish, of course, and she is an incredible, advocate, I should say. She was on Jonah Platt's podcast recently, being Jewish. So I liked her interview with him. And she is one of the very few people over at CNN that unabashedly, she's Dana Bash, unabashedly speaks you know, about her Jewish experiences and stuff and brings a lot of the Jewish experience to that audience, which is really important over there at CNN. But she did this story about Operation Benjamin. So essentially, if you don't mind, I'll just kind of explain it.
Go for it.
So in World War II, I'm trying to remember specifically where it was. Do we remember where it was? In Italy. In the
Yeah.
Sicily Rome American Cemetery in Nettuno, Italy. That's where it was.
Okay.
So basically, what happened was, I'll just kind of read it. It says, in World War II, it was a group that was in the army. They were called the First Special Service Force. They were put through rigorous training under perilous missions, and many of them, actually, I think all of them, ended up dying in this battle of Monte la Defensa on December 3rd, 1943, while storming a steep Italian mountain trying to overtake a Nazi stronghold. So the people who had survived this, this army's, all of the men who had died, their siblings, their children, the descendants, they all knew there were war heroes, but they didn't know the details of their death. And they also didn't know that despite being a proud Jew, they all had been buried under Latin crosses for more than 80 years. until a historian named Shalom Lamb contacted them. So this man Lamb, Shalom Lamb, is with his Operation Benjamin, who works with the American Battle Monuments Commission, who finds Jewish soldiers who were buried in American military cemeteries around the world under Latin crosses, and then he corrects them by replacing their headstones with stars of David. So he brought all of this man, Ben Zion Bernstein, who was one of the men who had died. He brought Bernstein's nieces, nephews, grandnieces, and grandnephews to Italy to participate in a ceremony to honor him and replace the cross with a Star of David to represent his own Jewish faith. And he did this with so many different people who had died in this war. And everyone was able to climb the part of the mountain where their uncle or their family members died. They saw the bunker where the Nazis threw the grenade that killed them. And they were able to meet all these different people that were part of the story and the leaders who like organized and trained them. I mean, what a crazy cool experience for people to kind of like learn about their history. And then to find out that they were now able to be buried under like their identity. They were all proud Jews.
Yeah.
And they were buried under crosses for so many years. How
Yeah.
crazy and how amazing.
And it is amazing to see a lot of the relatives, the surviving relatives, that to come and see the ceremony. But not only that, to meet other relatives of other fallen soldiers, Jewish fallen soldiers that were in that same battle. It was just very heartwarming to see the connection between all of these families. They've all had the same experience, and now they could live through it together, going up this mountain, going up this hill, and seeing where their family members are now buried, and being able to participate in changing what is it, a headstone? What do we call it?
Yeah, they call it a headstone.
Right. And people may think that this is something that is very minuscule, the idea of being buried under a cross or a Jewish star, whatever it is. But again, we are a proud people. We want to make sure that people know who we are. We don't want to hide ourselves underneath something else that's not who we are. We want people to know that we are Jews and we are here. So we need to make sure that every aspect is authentic and shows that shows our Jewishness. And even something like that, as small as it may seem, is something that's extremely important. So I love this story. I thought it was great, and it was very, very heartwarming in a world filled with all this Jewish hate, anti-Israel stuff that Donna and I just sit through and listen to, and probably spend too much time thinking about. Seeing something like this was very heartwarming and pretty awesome.
I agree. And what you said is really important, and it's kind of like a full circle. These men would never want to hide. They had to hide that they were Jewish on their dog tags. They had to hide that they were Jewish because, they were fighting a war against Nazis. And so they would put P or C on their dog tags, because if they were captured and it said that they were Jewish, they would P or C are for Protestant or Catholic. And they had to for their protection. And now in their death, they want to show that they were Jewish. But now as alive, we can't hide our Judaism. And so the most important thing that we can do is be proud to be Jewish and be confident and show our pride. Because truthfully, what do they say about bullies, right? Don't let them know that it bothers you. And if you show them that you are a victim to their bothering you or to them hurting you, it makes them feel stronger. It gives them that like, yeah, we're doing it. We're bothering them. And I always used to say that about like bullies on Reddit, right? Like if they talk crap about me and I like react to them, they just go harder.
Yeah,
and so they keep going. It's like, yeah, we're getting to her. We're getting to her. And that's how these haters feel about the Jews. We cannot let them get to us as a whole. We have to stay strong. The second we start removing the mezuzahs and the Star of Davids and the menorahs, like, they win. It's not going to happen. That's not how it's happening in my house. So, obviously protect yourself and stay diligent and stay strong and like look at your surroundings. Don't like walk through a Free Palestine, parade with a Jewish star as like and a kid with you, like
Yes.
maybe like be careful, but be proud to be Jewish.
And what a Jewish name that guy had. Shalom Lamb.
Well, I know a Mike Lamb, and so that's how I know Josh Smith is through my friend Mike Lamb,
Oh,
and his dad was Cantor Lamb at Stephen Weiss for 30 years. So I went to Mike Lamb's house, and I was like, "Do you know Shalom Lamb? Are you guys brothers?" And he goes, "No, he has two M's. I'm one M."
oh, interesting. It's just naming your kid Shalom. That is definitely not hiding who you are. It's basically saying
Listen,
you are Jewish.
it could be Shalom, it could be Mordechai,
Or Moishi, or any of these.
Shlomo.
Shlomo. I've yet to meet a Shlomo, but I'm sure there are plenty.
My stepdad's brother was Shlomo.
Of course.
Shlomo
Of course
Diskin.
there's a Shlomo.
Oh, Adam. Well, I love you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, you guys. Happy Memorial Day, even though you're going to listen to this late.
Yes.
And I appreciate everyone subscribing and listening and reviewing the podcast. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.